Eagle 95.1, WUPN, Paradise, Sault Ste. Marie.
It's time for The Game. Eagle 95.1 proudly brings you The Game, the Twin Sault's only regional and national sports show. For the next hour, we'll get an in-depth look at sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region and hear from coaches and players involved in The Game. Now, let's join Scott Nason at the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, for tonight's broadcast of The Game on Eagle 95.1.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to this special New Year's Eve edition of The Game on this Monday, December 31st, 2018. Scott Nason broadcasting from the studios of Eagle 95.1 WUPN in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan on this New Year's Eve morning. As it's been a couple weeks since we've had The Game on because of the holidays, and hopefully you and yours had a great holiday season, and let me be the first to wish you a very happy new year in 2019. Just myself for this edition of The Game. You can hear our contributors and some of their shows on the website, thegamesportshow.com, or you can go to the podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. That includes our good friend Dave McKeag and his crew in Sioux, Canada, who have shows from Sports Center Bar and Grill, along with Northern Superior Brewery, Icebreakers inside the John Rhodes Community Center, and Silver Creek Golf Course. And you can hear our good friend Butch Davis from Butch on Sports, all on thegamesportshow.com. But we have a lot to get our listeners updated on in the world of local sports, and we will start with that, as there were a bunch of high school basketball games that were played just before the Christmas break. So let's recap some of them. Let's go all the way back to December 18th. It seems like about a million years ago, doesn't it? But it was only a couple weeks ago. Boys basketball from the 18th, Pickford over Newberry by the score of 68-44. Brimley continues to roll in boys basketball as they crushed St. Ignace by the score of 92-35. Cedarville with a big win in boys basketball on the 18th at Rudyard by the score of 72-45. And in boys basketball, Detour over Maplewood 61-43. 3 games in girls basketball on the 18th. Sioux High falls to Gaylord 51-39. Munising, they drop Newberry 56-48. And Detour over Maplewood in girls basketball by a 38-31 count. Moving on to games on the 19th. In the Brimley Bays enter 2019 undefeated in boys basketball as they defeated Newberry by the score of 83-55. So Brimley now 8-0 on the season, and they're going to resume play on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday at home. This should be a good one against the Flint International Academy at 3 p.m. Newberry now 1-5. They will host Sheboygan this next Tuesday, I should say, January 8th. Boys basketball on the 19th. Sioux High falls to Gaylord by the score of 53-33. Girls basketball from December 19th. Rudyard gets a big win on the road at Cedarville by the score of 56-52. Newberry over Pickford in girls basketball by the score of 45-39. Boys basketball on December 20th. Quite a few games going on, including Detour. Good start for the Detour squad as they enter 2019 in boys basketball with a record of 3-2 as they defeat Engadine by the score of 38-21. Detour will resume action this upcoming Friday, January 4th, where they are at Brimley. Engadine, they're struggling mightily this year, 0-6. They'll be at Manistee next Monday, January 7th. Cedarville gets a big win at Pickford on December 20th in the Purple Palace as the Cedarville Trojans crush the Panthers by the score of 84-40. Cedarville now 4-4 in boys basketball. They will host Flint International Academy this Friday, while Pickford now 3-3. They will be at Inland Lakes to take on Indian River Inland Lakes a week from Monday, January 7th. St. Ignace and Soo High tangled in boys basketball on the 20th, and it was Soo High defeating the Saints by the score of 59-42. So the Soo High Blue Devils 2-5 on the season. They're going to host Newberry on Thursday, January 10th, while St. Ignace 0-7. They're struggling as well. Quite a few teams struggling, to be quite honest, in boys basketball around the area. They'll look for their first win this upcoming Friday at Pellston. Sheboygan defeats Rudyard in boys basketball on December 20th by the score of 76-74. So the Bulldogs now 2-3 on the season. They'll be at Traverse City Christian this Friday. Girls basketball from December 20th, one game. It was St. Ignace defeating Soo High by the score of 55-45. We'll get more to St. Ignace here as they were involved in a holiday tournament just this past weekend. Soo High now 3-3 on the season. Their next action will be at Traverse City West on Thursday. Brimley in girls basketball finally gets a loss after winning 5 in a row. They fall to Newberry on December 21st by the score of 51-41. But the Bays off to a great start under their head coach Matt Bathy, 5-1 on the season. They'll host Detour on Friday, while Newberry now 3-3. They'll be at Sheboygan next Wednesday, January 9th. Rudyard, impressive start for the Bulldogs, 5-2 on the season as they crush Sheboygan on December 21st by the score of 70-30. And Rudyard, well, they're going to have a test coming out of the gates in 2019. They will host undefeated St. Ignace next Wednesday, January 9th. And Cedarville in girls basketball on December 21st. They knock off Pickford by the score of 69-60. Cedarville now 4-2 on the season. They'll be at Boyne City on Wednesday, while the Panthers 3-3. They will be at Indian River Inland Lakes on Friday. And when we mentioned St. Ignace, they were the only high school basketball team that was playing over the holiday weekend. And, well, they had a couple big games down in Detroit. As head coach Doreen and Doug Ingalls, they don't avoid any tough matchups. They travel all the way down to Detroit to take part in the Motor City Round Ball Classic, which was played at Warren Lincoln. They knock off Reese in overtime by the score of 83-59. That game was on Friday. And then on Saturday, St. Ignace, they defeat Detroit Mumford by the score of 55-53. So 2 tough tests for the St. Ignace Saints, and they passed both those tests. So now St. Ignace 6-0 on the season. They will host Charlevoix on Wednesday. Moving on to Lake Superior State University basketball. Well, a couple games over the past couple weeks. The women played back on December 18th, and they defeated Alma by the score of 87-56, as Lexi Cohn had 17 points in that one, as the Lakers now have 5 wins on the season. They're 5-6, matching their total from last year. They were 5-23, so a program that's heading in the right direction. The Lakers will return to action this Thursday as they will travel to Davenport to take on the Davenport squad, and then they'll be back here at the Bud Cooper Gymnasium on Saturday to take on a very good Grand Valley team. Grand Valley, one of the best teams in Division II in all the land, so it's going to be a tough test for the Laker women. Laker men had a couple games over the holiday break. Going back to December 18th, they defeat Algoma by the score of 100-69, and then we're in action on Saturday. A very entertaining game. I had a chance to attend that one as the Lakers defeated Cedarville University by the score of 94-92. Malik Adams, he had 24 points in the contest. Senior forward Blake Marquardt, he made 7 threes for a season-high 21 points. Rog Stein added 15 for the Laker men, who are now 6-4 on the season, and they too will travel to Davenport on Thursday before returning home to take on Grand Valley State. That one on Saturday. So that is your high school basketball roundup along with some college basketball. And we will be in full gear in 2019 covering these teams as well as following the Brimley Bays on Eagle 95.1 or online at radioeaglesoo.com as we'll have a bunch of games. Both Brimley teams doing well. The boys 8-0, the girls 5-1. And we will follow the Bays hopefully to the Breslin Center. Hey, why not have both teams make it on the Eagle? We're going to take a break here on the game. We come back. We have a lot of hockey to talk about. Local hockey with the Soo High Blue Devils playing over the holidays, as well the Soo Eagles, Soo Thunderbirds, Soo Greyhounds, and the Lake Superior State University Lakers, who later on today will be playing at Little Caesars Arena in the Great Lakes Invitational Final. All UP final. Gotta love that. We'll talk about all that and more coming up on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get Wicked Catering from the crew at the Wicked Sister.
We like to think of ourselves as foodies. While our favorite foods are paired with a beer tasting at the Wicked Sister, you can now have the same creative menu for your next catered business luncheon, family get-together, wedding, or holiday party. Our white truffle risotto appeals to your gluten-free and vegetarian guests. Add sautéed shrimp or freshly grilled chicken for a pop of protein. Or let us build you a custom menu to suit your needs. From plated events of 15 to buffets for 200, the Wicked Sister will cater your event with tapas, snacks, cravables, or a full sit-down dinner.
The Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sports Center Bar and Grill. Sports Center Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sports Center rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sports Center, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sports Center Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
Saturday I took a walk to Zipperhead. I met a girl there and she almost knocked me dead. Punk rock girl, please look at me. What do you see? Let's travel around the world, just you and me, punk rock girl.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the studios of Eagle 95.1 on this New Year's Eve morning, a rare morning edition of the game. It's going to be a little busy later on. Lots of good sports on the telly today. You have Michigan State taking on Oregon in the Red Box Bowl, whatever that is, at noon. And then you have the Lake Superior State University Laker hockey team on the telly at 2:30 as they will take on Michigan Tech in the Great Lakes Invitational. We'll get to all those in a moment as well. We'll talk about the Detroit sports. The Lions. Yes, they won yesterday. Why? I have no idea. We'll talk about that in our final segment along with some of the other doings in the world of sports. But let's continue our coverage of local sports here over the holidays, getting our listeners all geared up for 2019. You're going to be all caught up after listening to this show with the things maybe you missed over the last couple weeks. I actually had to do a little research. I missed a few games here and there due to the holidays. And again, I want to wish you and yours a very happy New Year 2019, just, well, about 12 hours away from when we're recording this broadcast. Let's get to hockey, local hockey first. Let's talk about the Soo High Blue Devil hockey game. All these games you heard on Eagle 95.1. They were down in Big Rapids on December 21st, and the Blue Devils fell to Big Rapids by the score of 3-1, and then came back on the 22nd to knock off Rockford by the score of 8-6. And then Tim Ellis and his merry band of gentlemen Ellises, in this case Clayton, made the trip to Marquette over the holiday, and it was a tough weekend for the Blue Devils. Soo High lost to Kingsford on Friday night by the score of 4-3, and then were shut out by Marquette by the score of 4-0. That one on Saturday. So Soo High, tough start to the season, 5-7-1. And they will be back at the Big Bear Arena this Friday night as they will take on Midland Dow, that game at 8 o'clock, and then take on Plymouth on Saturday afternoon at 3. And you can hear all Soo High Blue Devil hockey games home and away on your home for Soo High Blue Devil Hockey, Eagle 95.1 with Tim Ellis, Clayton Ellis, Mike Ellis. It's a band of Ellis gentlemen, and they're very merry, and they do a great job. So hopefully Soo High can turn it around in 2019. It is a very young team, lots of sophomores on the team. Hopefully they'll get better because their schedule is going to get tougher. They always schedule tough, and so we'll keep you covered here on the game. And, of course, the broadcasts on Eagle 95.1. Let's talk about the NOJHL. Before the Christmas break, the Soo Eagles and Soo Thunderbirds both played. Let's start with the Eagles. They were at Puller Stadium on the 21st, and they defeated Elliott Lake by the score of 7-2 as Ryan Dax had a pair of goals in that one for the Eagles. Then the Eagles would take on Rayside Balfour on Saturday, December 22nd, and for the fourth time in 4 games, it was Rayside knocking off the Eagles, this time by the score of 5-2. Brendan Blair and George Orfanos had the goals for the Eagles. So the Soo Eagles in 4th place in the West Division, 15-19-1-1. They will resume action in 2019, hosting Blind River on Friday at Puller Stadium. Soo Thunderbirds, they had one game before the break, a 4-1 victory at Espanola on December 21st. How about Lucas Terrio? Boy, is he having a season or what? 2 goals on the night, his 23rd and 24th goals of the season. So the Soo Thunderbirds rolling right now, 25-7-0-1, first place in the West, first place in the NOJHL. And they'll be back in action on Friday at Elliott Lake and then at Rayside on Sunday. And you can hear more about the Soo Thunderbirds, not just on the game, but also from our good friend Dave McKegg, Brad Cacciamilio, Jamie Antonello, Justin Heichel. The list goes on. And they have player interviews as well as interviews with head coach John Parco. You can find that at thegamesportsshow.com. Let's talk about the Soo Greyhounds, minus a few players because of the World Junior Hockey Championships, which we'll get to here in a few minutes. But the Hounds were in action this weekend, had a chance to watch Friday's game. A tough game for the Hounds. They came out firing in the first period, but then would end up falling to Saginaw by the score of 4-2, minus Barrett Hayton, Morgan Frost, and Matthew Villalta, who are all at, or they were at least a couple of them, at the World Junior Championships. Joel Carroll and Cole McKay had the goals for the Hounds on Friday. And then the Hounds bounced back nicely on Saturday as they defeat Sudbury by the score of 5-2. Jordan Sambrook, Mac Hollowell, Cole McKay, and Brett Jacklin all had goals for the Hounds. Matthew Villalta back in net for the Hounds. He made 23 saves. And so the Soo Greyhounds still in first place in the West, 22-9-4-1. They will travel to Sarnia on Thursday and London on Friday. Well, they're minus Barrett Hayton and Morgan Frost because those two players are taking part in the World Junior Hockey Championships going on in British Columbia. It's been some exciting action so far. I've actually had a chance to watch quite a few games here over the break, and a lot of times it sometimes gets lost in the shuffle as far as the World Juniors, at least in this country. Over in Canada, well, it's headlines 24/7, and it's great hockey. The other night, the Team USA was taking on Sweden, down 4-0. They come back, score 2 goals in the last 40 seconds, would end up losing in overtime by the score of 5-4. So the Team USA now 2-0-1-0. They have that one overtime loss. Sweden right now in first place in the, Group B. Sweden has 8 points. USA has 7. Finland 6. Slovakia 3. And Kazakhstan nothing. Borat, I believe, was playing in net. Very nice, Borat. But he was playing, I believe, for Team Kazakhstan. So USA has 1 game left. They will take on Finland. That game, I believe, will be tomorrow. Checking the scores here. Yes, that game will be tomorrow late night at 10:30. And the big one, actually, that's tonight, at 10:30. So ringing the new year with some USA-Finland hockey. Always a tough one for me, being of Finnish descent, or Finn descent, I should say. The big one tonight, 8 o'clock, Russia-Canada. As both those teams rolling, undefeated Canada just looks really, really good right now. And so we'll see what happens there. Canada and Russia, my guess is the top 4 teams could be the teams that are in the semifinals. Russia, Canada in Group A, Sweden, USA in Group B. But don't count out Finland. They can get up and bite some teams. Other games today, Denmark, Czech Republic, nobody cares. Sweden, Kazakhstan, Russia, Canada, USA, Finland. And then after that, we start getting into the medal round. So we'll be talking more about the World Junior Hockey Championships on the game next week. Laker hockey at Little Caesars Arena, back in the Great Lakes Invitational for the first time since 1996. Earlier in the day, yesterday, Michigan Tech knocked off Michigan in a shootout. The Lakers were down 2. They would tie it, take the lead, and then be forced to go to overtime against Michigan State. And senior center Diego Cuglietta scored twice, including the game winner in overtime, lifting the Lakers to a 4-3 win over Sparty at Little Caesars Arena, matching their win total of last season. The Lakers are now 10-6-1, and they only had 10 wins last year. So obviously they are improving quite a bit. And they advanced to take on Michigan Tech, the first ever All-UP Great Lakes Invitational Final at Little Caesars Arena. Of course, it was at Joe Louis Arena before that arena, well, I guess it's going to be imploded here at some point. So that game, 2:30 p.m. on Fox Sports Detroit. Plenty of good seats available at Little Caesars Arena. I can't imagine that's going to be a big draw on New Year's Eve, the Lakers and Michigan Tech. But hey, good job, Lakers, and hopefully they can capture their first ever Great Lakes Invitational Championship heading into 2019, as they will start, I believe, this upcoming weekend in Alaska, if I'm not mistaken. So good luck to the Lakers, and we'll talk more about them on our next edition of the game. We're going to take our final break here on this New Year's Eve morning, a pretty mild morning in Sault Ste. Marie. We've had decent weather, a little snow, but we won't complain too much. We come back, we're going to look at some of the Detroit sports going on. The Lions, as I mentioned, at Green Bay. 31-0. The Lions defeat the Green Bay Packers, costing themselves a few spots in the draft. Pistons, they are struggling. The Red Wings are struggling. Michigan football struggling. Can't say that about Michigan State, at least yet, as we're recording this in the morning. We'll get you caught up on the Detroit sports scene coming up on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get wicked at the Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for the whole family. Start off with some appetizers like the crab dip, served with warm naan bread strips and soft pretzel bites, or their antibiotic and hormone-free boneless chicken wings with 5 choices of sauces. Entrees include the barbecue pulled pork sandwich, the #1 selling drunken cow burger, or Philly cheesesteaks, and they're on special all day Thursdays. The Wicked Sister also offers a gluten-free menu and catering. Bring the whole family. The Wicked Sister, downtown Ashman Street, open 7 days a week.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsoo.as.me-. The Salon, making the Sioux beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Superior Pro Shop. The Superior Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Superior Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful, new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and special edition home to the game, Silver Creek Golf Course, located on 104 Bellow Lake Road, Garden River, Ontario. And also shout out thank you to Silver Creek GM Jamie Henderson. Silver Creek Golf Course has many specials to offer for 18 holes, 9 holes, and even Twilight Deal specials. It does not matter what your level of golf game is, it is a must to enjoy the scenic course, memorable experiences that Silver Golf Course offers. Silver Creek also offers a Thursday wing night for you to enjoy food after a stellar time on the course? You can book your tee time by phone or online at golfsilvercreek.com. Silver Creek Golf Course, where all are welcome to play.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Play Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a northern thing.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from Eagle 95.1 in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan on this New Year's Eve morning, a special edition. Our schedule of the game over the next couple weeks going to be a little out of schedule, I should say, as our location at the Wicked Sister, we're not going to be there until January 21st. Reason being, my son in the 7th grade, he has a couple tournament games over the next couple Mondays in Sheboygan. So we're going to be doing some broadcast of the game at least on a weekly basis, but we won't be back at the Wicked Sister until January 21st. So then we'll be back on schedule a little bit. Then I'll have to take a couple weeks off. So just keep it locked here to thegamesportshow.com. We'll keep you up to date on what's going on in the world of sports. Well, let's talk about the Detroit and national sports scene. And while the Lions went into yesterday's game against Green Bay thinking, well, if they lose this game, they'll have at least the 5th pick in the 2019 draft. Well, Aaron Rodgers, he gets knocked out early in the first half. And the Lions, well, they are the best team in all of sports to win games that they shouldn't win. Granted, they look good. They won by the score of 31-0. Matt Stafford had a good game. Matthew Prater threw a touchdown pass. No, that's not a misprint. That's not a misspeak. Matthew Prater had a touchdown pass for the Detroit Lions as they rout the Green Bay Packers by the score of 31-0. Zach Zenner with a big game. Butch Davis talked about him. He's been talking about him on his show, Butch on Sports. However, the Lions would lose 3 spots in the draft. They will now draft 8 in the 2019 NFL Draft, finishing the season with a 6-10 record, last place in the North Division. And so Lions 9-7. They fired their coach Jim Caldwell last year. Matt Patricia comes in, and well, they're 6-10 in last place. So they're going to have to do a lot of soul searching again. If you're a Detroit Lions coach, fan, general manager, administration, whatever, at some point you would think the fans are going to get tired of this same old act. They haven't yet. They show up at the games, and until they stop showing up, a lot of times a lot of people like me, a little skeptical of the Lions, to say the least, going to say SOL. Well, there's 2 things you can say when you say SOL. I'm going to use the same old Lions one. So Lions 6-10, and we do know the opponents they will play next year due to the schedule. Of course, they will play their division opponents 3 times at home and 3 times on the road for 6 games. They will play the NFC East next year, so they will have home games against Dallas and the New York Giants and road games at Philly and Washington. They'll also play the last place teams from the NFC South and West, that being Tampa and Arizona. They seem to play Arizona every year for whatever reason. And they'll play the AFC West. So you'll see Patrick Mahomes and Phillip Rivers at Ford Field, as the Lions will play Kansas City and the LA Chargers at home. And then they'll travel to Denver and, well, Oakland, Vegas, Sacramento. I don't know where the heck they're going to play, but they'll take on the Raiders. So the Lions 6-10. Any way you slice it, and yes, it had a happy ending. Any way you slice it was a bad season for the Lions, underachieved. And you just have to scratch your head if you're a Lions fan thinking, well, how is this going to get better? I mean, you draft all these linemen. You have a running game, and Matthew Stafford has one of his worst years. Now, throw out what you saw yesterday. That doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. And, there is some trade talk. We don't like to deal in rumors here on the game too much, but there is some rumblings that Matt Stafford's going to be traded. Absolutely no way. Not going to happen. The contract, the salary cap hit. Matthew Stafford, whether you like him or not, he's going to be back in uniform for the Lions in his 11th season. The Lions are going to have to look at this draft and try to figure some things out because they definitely went down 3 games worse than last year. And they had no business winning that game yesterday, but they do. Well, that's what the Lions do. They win the games that they really shouldn't win. It was an exciting day in the NFL yesterday overall. Lots of games went down to the wire, figuring out who was going to play who in playoffs. Let's go through the scores. Baltimore, they escape a Cleveland team that had a solid season. E.J. Russell, I know, got to be happy with his Cleveland Browns. They do fall to Baltimore by the score of 26-24. So Baltimore clinches the AFC North, knocking Pittsburgh out. Sorry, Dave, as Pittsburgh did win their game against Cincinnati 16-13, but are not in this year's playoffs. And you look at that loss a few weeks ago at Oakland, that was the killer for Pittsburgh. Other games, the NFL yesterday, Houston, they clinched the AFC South as they defeat Jacksonville by the score of 20-3. They will take on Indianapolis. 1-5 to start the season, and they make the playoffs as they defeat Tennessee by the score of 33-17. And the other real question was who was going to be in the playoffs, Minnesota or Philly? Well, Philly did their part, and Nick Foles, what can you say about this guy? I don't know how this guy wasn't starting all year because all he does is win big football games. He defeats, along with his Eagles, Washington by the score of 24-0, but Washington needed Minnesota to lose. And boy, did they. They lost at home to Chicago by the score of 24-10. Kirk Cousins, I saw a stat. In his last 29 games against winning teams, 4-25. Unbelievable for that contract. And boy, you talk about a lot of pressure on a quarterback next year. The fans in Minnesota not happy with Cousins in that offense. So Minnesota out, Philadelphia in. And so let's look at the matchups in the wild card. Starting on Saturday, Houston will take on Indianapolis. An interesting matchup here. Houston 0-3, and they win their division. Indianapolis at 1.1-5, they get in the playoffs. That should be a good game there. Right now, Houston a 2.5-point favorite. In the NFC wild card playoff spot, Dallas, who won yesterday against the New York Giants, they will take on Seattle. That the night game. Seattle also won against Arizona, who will have the number 1 pick in this year's NFL draft. Dallas a 2.5-point favorite in that one. Sunday, the big games, I think, the 2 real big matchups. The LA Chargers 12-4, and they have to go on the road to take on Baltimore. Watch out for this Baltimore team. Lamar Jackson, who would have thought of all the rookie quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson probably the one, well, not probably, he is the one that's still playing. Just unbelievable, his talent and what he's added to that Baltimore team. That running game is going to be tough to stop. And Baltimore, a 2.5-point favorite over 12-4 LA. And Chicago, winning the NFC North. They will take on Philadelphia Sunday at 4:40. Chicago, a 5.5-point favorite. And then you have the divisional playoff starting on January 12th. The lowest seeded remaining AFC team will take on Kansas City, who has home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs on January 12th. That's a Saturday at 4:35. The LA Rams, the 2 seed, they'll take on the highest remaining seed. Or is it the lowest? Lowest, I'm sorry. Probably the 3rd or 4th seed. That game will be on Saturday, January 12th at 8:15. New England, the 2 seed in the AFC, they'll host the highest or lowest remaining AFC team at 1:05 on Saturday, January 13th. And New Orleans, who lost yesterday, but they didn't play any of their starters. Well, Michael Thomas, because he got a record. They will host the lowest-seeded NFC team. So that is your NFL. Bye-bye, Lions. Let's not talk about them for a few months. Tough week for Detroit sports. The Pistons in action yesterday afternoon. They lost again to Orlando, 109-107. The Pistons have lost 11 out of 14 games, are now 16-18, 8th in the East. And they'll be at Milwaukee tomorrow afternoon, and we'll travel to Memphis on Wednesday and Utah on Saturday. Detroit Red Wings also struggling, 2-6-2 in their last 10 games. And they'll have a game New Year's Eve, the traditional New Year's Eve game. They'll host Florida at Little Caesars Arena at 7:30. The Wings began a 5-game homestand with a 5-1 loss to Dallas on Saturday. Injuries taking a toll with the Wings right now. Several key players out of the lineup: Darren Helm, Anthony Mantha, Danny DeKeyser, and Mike Green. The Wings will host Calgary on Wednesday, Nashville on Friday, and Washington on Sunday. Wings right now 15, 19, and 6, looking way up in the playoff picture. And finally, college football. We know the national championship game will be this upcoming Monday at Levi Stadium in California. Alabama back, defending champs, as they defeated Oklahoma in the semifinals by the score of 45-34. They're going to take on Clemson, who won 2 years ago, as Clemson just whooped Notre Dame by the score of 30-3. Speaking of whoopings, another whooping for Jim Harbaugh's Michigan Wolverines, as they were taken to the woodshed in the Peach Bowl by Florida by the score of 41-15. The Gators absolutely ran over the Wolverines in the second half, and so Michigan, again, had some questions as far as where this program is heading. They were 10-1 going into that game at Ohio State. They get thumped, and then they get thumped again, so they're not ending the season very well, and that's a shame. Michigan State is taking on Oregon. I think I said that game was at noon. That game's actually at 3 o'clock today in the Red Box Bowl. Other bowls today: Paul Van Wagner's Virginia Tech Hokies are taking on Cincinnati at noon in the Military Bowl. Sun Bowl at 2 o'clock sees Pittsburgh taking on Stanford. Liberty Bowl in Memphis, Missouri, taking on Oklahoma State. You also have the Holiday Bowl, Utah against Northwestern. The Tax Slayer Bowl at 7:30, Texas A&M against NC State. Your New Year's Day Bowl lineup is as follows: Mississippi State taking on Iowa in the Outback Bowl at noon. I like this game right here. LSU against Central Florida in the Fiesta Bowl. Another good game sees Penn State taking on Kentucky in the Citrus Bowl. Ohio State in the Rose Bowl takes on Washington, and Georgia in the Sugar Bowl takes on Texas. Been some interesting bowl games here. I gotta love going through some of them. Let's just go through some of these because they're fun. Just the names of some of these bowls. The New Orleans Bowl, Appalachian State over Middle Tennessee State. The Boca Raton Bowl. But that one, just tons of tradition in that one. UAB over Northern Illinois. The Frisco Bowl, I think you know where that is. Ohio over San Diego State. The Gasparilla Bowl, Marshall over South Florida. The Bahamas Bowl, Toledo loses to FIU. The Idaho Potato Bowl, BYU over Western Michigan. The Birmingham Bowl, Wake Forest over Memphis. The Armed Forces Bowl, how about Army, putting up a 70 spot against Houston. The Dollar General Bowl, Troy over Buffalo. The Hawaii Bowl goes to Louisiana Tech over Hawaii. Minnesota, they gave the Big Ten a victory over Georgia Tech in the Quick Lane Bowl. TCU over California in the Cheez-It Bowl. Boise State and Boston College canceled in the First Responder Bowl. Just leave that one alone, I guess. Duke over Temple in the Independence Bowl. Wisconsin over Miami in the Pinstripe Bowl. The Big Ten got off to a good bowl start, but it's kind of gone downhill ever since. Baylor over Vanderbilt in the Texas Bowl. Auburn absolutely destroyed Purdue, 63-14 in the Music City Bowl, and it wasn't even that close. Auburn, I think, had 52 points by the second quarter. Syracuse over West Virginia in the Camping World Bowl. Washington State over Iowa State in the Alamo Bowl. To make a long story short, there's too many bowls. We need more playoffs. We need more teams because these bowls are absolutely ridiculous, but they're fun to watch, and we'll be watching Michigan State as well. Another thing fun to watch here over the holiday break, of course, Premier League soccer going on. We haven't talked too much about that on our airwaves here, talking about what's going on in the Premier League and what's going on right now. It's all Liverpool. They are absolutely rolling in the Premier League, still undefeated on the season. They have 54 points. Manchester City, defending champs, they did win yesterday, but they've lost a couple games. They're in second with 47 points, Tottenham with 45, and my Chelsea having a good season in fourth place, 43 points. Been fun to watch that. And the other thing I've been watching a lot, actually I have it on the DVR right now. After this broadcast, I'm going to be watching some World Darts Championships going on in London on BBC America. If you have a chance and maybe you're looking for something different to watch the live final tomorrow. They do that on New Year's Day. Darts, I get it. You're listening to this like, okay, really? Darts? I could go watch that downtown in the Bermuda Triangle. Well, you can tonight if you want, because it is New Year's Eve. Good luck with that. But watch it on the telly. It's a lot of fun. The crowd gets into it, and it's exciting. And that's my plug for darts. So there, I like cricket too. So I can just see the eyes roll in some of our listeners right now. But hey, I like all sports. I'm a sports nut, and I hope you enjoy sports, enjoyed this show, and enjoyed 2018. It was a big year on the game. Lots of new things happening. And want to thank all our contributors, including Dave McKeag from Soo, Ontario, getting more sponsors, getting more shows. He does a great job over there, along with Jamie Antonello, Justin Heichel, Brad Cachamilio, Dustin Grondin. We have Craig Hartsburg now joining the show. And so great job by Dave and his entire crew over in Soo, Ontario. He has lots more in store in 2019. And, of course, a regular contributor here on the game. Want to thank Butch Davis, one of our original cast members, a co-host. He does a great job with his show, Butch on Sports, and, of course, when he's on this show as well. We're going to get Butch up to Sault Ste. Marie in 2019. We've been waiting a while. We're going to get him up here so he can meet some of the fans and get to know Sault Ste. Marie and this area. I want to thank E.J. Russell, now in Escanaba, Michigan, Cleveland sports nut. Got to be very happy with his Cleveland Browns right now. He said at the beginning of the year he thought this team could win 7-8 games, and, boy, he was right. And Cleveland would be very smart to keep their interim coach, make him their head coach, in my opinion. So we're looking forward to having EJ back on in 2019, along with Katie Woolen from Eagle 95.1, sales extraordinaire. She does everything play-by-play. She does board ops. She's a big asset to this show and the station. Want to thank our board ops, Trent Raymond and Dallas Green. I think I got that name. Dallas Green. No, I think he coached Didn't Dallas Green coach the Minnesota Vikings? I could be wrong there. It's been a while here on the game getting some of these names. Dallas Miller, not Dallas Green. Dallas Miller and Trent Raymond. Appreciate them. Appreciate the Wicked Sister hosting us. Kathy, Scott, and the entire crew always making us feel at home. And want to thank each and every one of you, our listeners, our dedicated fan base. A couple of them want to shout out Don Supa, his wife Stephanie, his daughter Chloe, always listening on a weekly basis. I want to thank Dan Lasley, one of my good friends, for listening in, and to each and every one of you for tuning in. And we're excited for 2019. We'll be back here sometime next week. Not sure exactly which day. It won't be on Monday. We'll be back to recap the week that was in the world of sports. And you can catch all our shows in several places, including thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or if you're a YouTube person, just look up the Scott Nason channel. Really easy to do. You have all the shows there. You can download them. You can get all sorts of information as well. We put up Soo Eagles hockey broadcasts, my interviews with Paul Van Wagner on ESPN Blacksburg on his show The Drive, and some Brimley Bay's basketball broadcasts, all on thegamesportshow.com. And we wish each and every one of you a very happy new year. Be safe out there. Be careful. Make sure you use a designated driver, Soo Line limo. 1-800-SMART-44 if maybe you're out and about and you've had too many. Make it safe, make it great, and let's make 2019, I was going to say great again, but that might get me in trouble. Let's just make it great. It's going to be great here on the game, and so thank you for tuning in. We will talk to you in 2019 here on the game on Eagle 95.1.